Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Mike here, and hello, how are we? Oh, it's bright. So I've got a bit of a different setup at the moment for this first video of today's filming because I wanted to film downstairs because I am expecting a bunch of phone calls. I am expecting some parcels to be delivered. I have a cake in the oven and the alarm is going to go off midway through filming, but I thought, you know what, I need to try and get started on these videos because I've got a few planned. Oh, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Bear with. Okay, I'm back. Cake has been put back in for 10 minutes, so it will beep again and I will have to leave again, but you know, it's fine. So this video today is the what's on the telly box for February, and I needed extra light, so I have put, oh, I've looked directly at it. Hello. Anyway, so we're trying out a bit of light behind my camera because I wanted to sit downstairs and there aren't very many good angles with interesting things behind me in my living room. So I've settled for, I'm on a little footstool in front of my bay window. This is what you go through for YouTube, people, let me tell you. So, what has been on your telly box in February? We have continued our box set binge, and I have to start by saying that I missed something out in January. Thank you to my friend Kyle, shout out, a link to his YouTube channel below, for mentioning to me that I forgot to talk about The Punisher in January because we watched The Punisher season 2 and it was flipping awesome. As anybody else watching The Punisher, I just feel it's such a shame that all these Marvel Netflix hybrids have been cancelled. But The Punisher deserves a third season. That second season was so violent and really good characterization. The pace of the show was brill. I love Frank. He's such an engaging character, an engaging leading man, and there was quite a good kind of mystery going through it, but it was more about the fights and the violence, and then Frank and his nemesis finally battling it out. And it was really, really good. I do very highly recommend The Punisher season 2 on Netflix. So what did I actually watch in February, I hear you all ask? The first thing that Jay and I watched was Fringe season 1. Now, Fringe is one of those shows. It was on a good few years ago. It was from the makers of Lost, and it's one of those strange shows that is brilliant, but there aren't many people in my life who actually watch it, so I can't talk to anybody about it. It's like it's Girls all over again. Fringe is about, it's sort of like the X-Files, but it's not aliens, it's weird science. So it's about an FBI agent called Olivia, and she gets kind of caught up in investigating a weird case, and she needs the help of Walter Bishop, who's a sort of mad scientist. And so she seeks him out, and the only way she can get him out of his like mental institution that he is in is to bring his son. His son has to sign him out. So his son Peter comes along, and the three of them start investigating these weird fringe cases. It's called Fringe because it's about the fringe science that's happening, not like, you know, conventional science. And it's so good. It's like, it's about parallel worlds and weird creatures and monsters and people with special abilities. It's a really, really good show. And we watched season 1, and I feel like I've seen season 1 a good few times now. We're watching it on Blu-ray, and I love season 1. It's genuinely a very, very good season of telly, and I just loved it. And if you watch it, you'll understand. But if you don't watch it, you should, especially if you like X-Files and Supernatural and that kind of thing. There's a really good sort of running thread of story throughout the whole show, but at the same time it has a lot of the episodes are standalone monsters, and I like that. I like that, and I love, it's made me realise I absolutely love a pre-credit sequence. I think it's something that's missing a lot now from telly that's being made now. I love that pre-credit sequence. I guess it's called a teaser, where you have just the supporting actors for that episode normally living their lives, and Fringe does this very well, and then a creature or monster or villain or threat appears, and it's horrible and scary, and then you cut to the credits. And I love that. I just love that you get, like, you kind of go, ooh, and then you want to watch more. And that is what I'm about. So Fringe season 1, highly recommend. The second thing that I watched, just me, was Grace and Frankie season 5. Oh, there's something about Grace and Frankie that I love, and there's so much about it that I love. Hard to put into words. As I said in my previous video, it's about two ladies in their 70s and 80s, and their husbands leave them for each other. It turns out the husbands have been having a 20-year affair, and the husbands now want to get married because they can, and so they come out, and obviously it splits up the marriages, and Grace and Frankie are thrown together, living together, dealing with it, because it's quite a unique situation, and they are their only other people that they know who are in that situation, so they're kind of thrown together, and it's hilarious, quite moving in some parts. But season 5, it's quite different to where it began, because now it's sort of a show about a really dysfunctional family, a large, odd family. Grace is dating again, and they've gone into business together. There's a fantastic episode. There's two things that I absolutely loved. There was a fantastic episode where Frankie was trying to get a, so I have to use the American term, a crosswalk, like a zebra crossing. The timing of the zebra crossing, it wasn't that long, and for an older person to cross it in the time, well, it wasn't really working for her. So she went on a crusade, a one-woman crusade, to get the time amended for the zebra crossing. And it's just really funny. She gathers all her friends, and they all just like strut across the zebra crossing really slowly to bring the time down. Oh, it's fab. It really made me laugh. I really liked that. And there was a hilarious scene that I found really, really funny, where Frankie, who I think is my favourite character, is with Robert, who is Grace's ex-husband, and they don't have that many scenes together really. Their stories are separate, but Robert's going through a bit of a hard time, and Frankie goes over and they get high, and Frankie is trying to create a national vibrator day, because everything else has a day, donut days, pizza days, there's no vibrator day. So she's trying to create a national vibrator day, and she doesn't know how to do it. She's like, how on earth do you start a day? And they're both high and they're sitting there, and Robert just kind of goes, well, why can't you just do an internet? And I was howling, because that's just that's logic that my grandmother would have had. I love that. I think that's fantastic. Just go and do an internet. That's how you get a day. Yeah, so Grace and Frankie season 5, finished it, loved it, have gone back to start watching season 1 again, because whenever it finishes, I miss it. I genuinely do, so I've gone back, I'm on season 1, but that's for my March video, so we'll talk about that later. Right, the next thing I've been kind of dipping in and out of is Catastrophe Season 2, which is on all 4, and again, this is about a couple who met because they had a one-night stand, and he's American, she's Irish, but they met in London, and they get pregnant and have a baby. And Season 2 I'm watching at the moment, and it's moved forward in time, and their first baby they've got 2 babies. I think they have 2 babies, and their first baby is like a toddler, and their second baby has now just been born, and it's about that family life and that family dynamic, and it's just really, really funny. I find that Sharon, I think that's her name, it could be her real name, the lady character, is really like, she says the things you want to say to people sometimes in those situations, and I really respond very well to that. I think it's really funny and awkward, but in a good way. And then he is really, his comedy is very different, because it's American, he's American, and it's a really good clash of cultures. The story's continuing. It's still funny. It's on season 2, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to it, but I'm really enjoying it. So that's happening. And then the other program that we watched on Netflix, again, we binged The Umbrella Academy. Now, this is dividing opinion online. I've seen lots of people talking about it on the Instagram apparently, and things. And I did quite enjoy it. I think that the pacing of the show is like all Netflix shows. When you start watching a Netflix program, the first 3 or 4, nothing really happens. You have to plow on through those 4 to get into the story that they're trying to tell, and that is what binge watching is all about. I mean, if you had that on 1 episode a week, yes, you wouldn't get the viewers and people wouldn't tune in and come back. My alarm's going off my cake. Can you bear with? I'm back. cake has foil on top of it now, and it is browned nicely, but needs to cook through. Trick with a loaf cake. I need some coffee. I'm speaking very quickly. I love Tom Hopper. I think he's a fitty. I've loved him since Merlin, and I loved him in Game of Thrones, so I was drawn to that. I will say, everyone's talking about how fantastic Ellen Page is in it, and I do quite like Ellen Page. I'm not a hater, but in this, especially the first part of the program, I found her a bit wooden. But okay, it's just an opinion. As her character and her story develops, it becomes a lot more interesting, and I like where she goes, and I think she does perform it very well. But the first part, I felt a bit sorry for her, but I also felt like, what are you doing? But there we are. That's how I think Ellen Page is a little bit wooden. I liked her in X-Men. I liked her in Juno. I fall on the side of I like her, but I think that, I don't know, she just needs a bit more to do, and then when they gave her more to do, she was really good. But the show is about okay, so a bunch of women, they weren't pregnant at the beginning of the day, they were pregnant by the end of the day, they gave birth, and these babies have abilities, special abilities. And one weird sort of mad scientist, professor kind of guy, goes around collecting these babies, or trying to collect as many as he can, and he collects 7 and brings them back to his kind of life, and he creates a school where he teaches them to utilize their abilities. Sounds a bit X-Men, kind of is a little bit X-Men, but it's also very comic booky. It's not really superhero. It's not like a superhero program, but it kind of is as well. I really liked it. I liked the style of it. I liked the personal journeys a lot of the characters went through. There's one character who is a drug addict, and he keeps trying to get clean, and the reason he's a drug addict because his power is he can see and hear the dead. So he's filling himself full of toxins basically to block out the dead people, and his story is really interesting, and there's time travel in it, which I really liked. There are bounty hunters in it. It can be quite violent. The effects were good. The style of the show was beautiful. I really liked how it was shot. It was very kind of Watchmen, so I liked that. And generally, I give it a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to season 2. I think if you just plow through it, you'll enjoy. That's how I feel. I'm looking forward to season 2, and it has been greenlit, so I'm glad, because there was a slight cliffhanger, and I love a cliffhanger, but I love it when I know the show's coming back, and I know it's coming back now. I have been watching Dollhouse season 2, I completely forgot to mention it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm watching it during my lunch breaks in work, and it's kind of like, it's a nice thing to watch on my Kindle. My phone just fell. But at the same time, I've paused because I'm reading again, and I'm sort of trying to balance all these programs and reading. But I am watching Dollhouse season 2, I haven't forgotten about it. I am about 3/4 of the way through it now. I haven't got very many episodes left, and it is good. This is the season I don't really remember from the first time round. Echo, the main character, who is remembering all the previous personas that she's been, she is now becoming more of a character when she is in her doll state. So she's speaking and doing things that are surprising people, and there's been some really interesting stories with like a political story with a senator. That was good. No spoilers, but that's a really good story that's going along with it. And good old Joss Whedon brings all his pals back. Summer Glau has a guest appearance over a couple of episodes, and that was good. He keeps giving her new things to do, and I really like her as an actress. And that was an interesting story as well. And they're kind of developing the technology now, which is like the remote wipes, so they can wipe the dolls, how can you put it, the persona that they're putting in the dolls, they can they can wipe them remotely. Ooh, this is hard terminology. But it is very good. And I don't know why, I haven't really stopped watching because the show isn't very good. I've stopped watching because I've started reading again. I'm reading a good book at the moment that I'm going to talk about soon in another video. So yeah, that was what I watched in Feb. Let me know what you guys have been watching. And I have started making notes on my phone as well for my March viewing, because there are some programs that are actually coming back onto Telly as well, not just box sets. Hooray, finally some good Telly to watch, and I'm going to talk about them in my next video. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.